what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy. Oh, darn it. I had it pulled up, and it looks like I might have accidentally closed the window. The guy, the journalist from Oregon, he's a radio host out there who tweeted essentially that, and I'll get his name here in a second, but he tweeted that that the Jayden Daniels the Jayden Daniels Heisman talk needs to stop because he would be holding a clipboard at either Washington or Oregon, and it's John Canzano, who's he's very good at his job, and this is what you do, right? This is where he's in the same game as we are. But
typically, you don't see a Heisman voter because there's rules that we like. When you're a Heisman voter,
are you a Heisman voter?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we get. You don't pay attention to anything I say.
No,
we get
never knew that.
We get rules. Like there's things that you can and can't talk about.
Yeah.
And there's things like you're not supposed to really tell people who you voted for before the results come out. Then you can mention who you vote for, but there's certain rules, so I'm a little surprised.
Just sounds really emotional. If you have a vote, you should maybe think like a journalist and think that a lot of people are probably going to vote for him based off of data and objective facts. So to say he would be holding a clipboard is just kind of dumb and not something you would expect a voter.
Well, the funniest part is when Jayden Daniels started at Arizona State, he beat Oregon and Washington.
I mean, well,
he had one of his biggest games ever against Oregon.
He did.
It's also like the kind of flawed idea that, okay, if any one of those players went to the school where the other guy was the incumbent, no one would probably unseat the other. But in my opinion, I don't know, I think Dan Lanning and his staff, if it was like an objective competition and the two players lined up toe-to-toe, it'd be very tough to not end up siding with Jayden Daniels, even with how awesome Bo Nix is. I think, though, in response to the tweet, we have a ton of raw numbers that I can give you, but Preston Guy.
Oh, shout out Preston. He went all in and came out on the other side.
Yeah, and Preston's been in this game for a while, came up in journalism. He's a Manship School alum, obviously, and he does work with Tiger Bait. You can see him on YouTube, everywhere else. P-Guy_77 is what you're looking for if you want to follow him on Twitter. But he says, buckle up, John, about to take you to class. Jayden Daniels has played the toughest schedule in America, which, again, is objective truth. God, you know what really pisses me off the more we get into this, too? Just losing that Ole Miss game. If you don't lose the Ole Miss game, literally, he's already won the Heisman.
Yeah.
You're in the New Year's Six. The world is your oyster. Everything came down to blowing that 9-point lead with 9 minutes remaining. And if he doesn't win it, that will be the moment where everything shatters. All that crappy-ass LSU defense. Okay, I'm going to get mad, though. Let's get back to celebrating Jayden. So he's played the toughest schedule in America. That's objective fact. He leads the country in total yards by by more than 800 yards. Basically 1,000 more. In fact, if you look at yards per game, Jake, this is total yards accounted for per game. Drake May right now. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, look, Bo Nix is in fourth, 333. Michael Penix Jr., third, 335. Drake May, second, 336. So you're getting an idea. Look, those are the elite. You're getting an idea of that range, right? Jayden Daniels is at 417, guys. So you have all the best players at 330, and then you're at 417. He leads the FBS in total touchdowns. So that number, which he was losing to Caleb Williams on the vast majority of the season, that's not even close now. Jayden Daniels has accounted for 46 total touchdowns. Again, Dylan Gabriel's at 38. Caden Salter out of Liberty, who we talked about with Jamie Chadwell's at 39. Bo Nix, 40. Caleb Williams, 41. Jayden Daniels now up to 46. So he leads the FBS in total touchdowns. He leads in yards per carry, the entire country. Jake said, he currently has the highest passer rating in FBS history. I did not realize this. I knew that he had jumped all the way up to 208 after this incredible performance. And again, I'll give you context in a second. It looks like the all-time record is 207. But his pass rate right now is 208. Bo Nix, second place, 191. Caden Salter, third, 183. Jalen Milroe, fourth, 179. J.J. McCarthy, 178. So you only have two other players breaking 180, one other breaking 190, and you had 208. Okay, so again, a sizable gap. Think Jayden Daniels is padding his stats with cheap, short plays. Think again, Preston says. He has more 20-yard plays than any team in the country. By himself, he has more 20-yard plays than any team in the country. And again, and you say, okay, well, you think he's just amassed that against Georgia State, right? He just went for like 8 touchdowns. Okay, well, LSU has 70 plays of 20 yards or more against Power 5 teams. The next closest is USC at 59. Against the 4 top 12 teams that Jayden Daniels has played on the road, he's gone for, he's completed 79 of 118 passes for over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 picks, and he's run for an additional 550 carries and 3 touchdowns. That's 420 yards per game against the best competition, which is actually higher than his season average, as Preston Guy points out. Also mentioned scoring touchdowns on his last 13 drives. It's just absolutely absurd that Canzano would put that out there when Jayden. Right now, Jayden Daniels is averaging 11.8 yards per attempt, Jake.
Per
11.8.
Not per completion.
10
per attempt.
is an elite number. 11 is astronomical. 11.8 pushing 12 is otherworldly. It's galactic. It's alien.
It's video game.
I lack the I lack, and you know me, I love vocabulary, and I lack this skill to adequately paint the picture of how amazing that is. Again, maybe context does it. Jalen Milroe, that's the biggest stat, best stat he has. He's at 10.6. Caden Salter's at 10.5. Jackson Dart's at 9.9. Bo Nix is at 9.8. How about this? Where did I see? Oh, how about this, Jake? Yards per play. Individual player, yards per play. So when he either throws it or runs it. 10.75 yards, guys. Again, Bo Nix is second, nearly 2 yards behind at 9.12. Every single time Jayden throws it or runs it, you get a first down on average. Again, I need y'all to understand how absurd that is. It just does not, it shouldn't happen. It does not happen. And I mean, how in the world? Like, the whole year, we've been consistent, okay? If Jayden Daniels is going to win the Heisman on a team that has struggled overall, he has to become a statistical outlier. He has entered statistical outlier category and then some.
Yeah.
He's ascending and continuing to ascend. Again, it's all going to hinge on A&M. So I'm not saying, look, if they go out there and lose or he doesn't play well there, well, then all bets are off. But as it stands today, there is absolutely no way in hell that you can be an objective Heisman voter and not cast your vote for Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he's going to have to go out there against Texas A&M. He's going to have another one of those performances that he's had basically every single game this year, because that's what you have to do when your team has 3 losses and the other guys that you're going against, one's undefeated, one has 1 loss. Looks like, still some upsets could happen, but it looks like they're going to play in the conference championship game, and that's going to help them. They're going to have another opportunity, and some voters vote before. A lot of voters vote after the conference championship games. I think you should vote after. I mean, you should get the totality of the season. But if he goes out there and does that again, he is doing the things that we said you had to do to win the Heisman Trophy. And T-Bob's right. Like, he's not only gotten to that point as far as the outlier, he is, burst through the ceiling of that, and he is now in outer space. I mean, these stats just don't lie. And when you're averaging almost 12 yards per attempt through the air, that's the number really, T, I think that stands out to me more than maybe any number that we're giving you. Every time he drops back, it's 12 yards.
Yeah.
Every single time. And so that tells you this is not a check down Charlie situation, T-Bob. This is pushing the ball down the field with intent and being highly successful with it.
So let's try to contextualize it. Who do you think? Okay, Hendon Hooker led the country last year in yards per attempt. 9.5. Him and C.J. Stroud led the country last year. 9.5. Okay, Grayson McCall. Again, Jamie Chadwell led it 2 years ago at 11.9. Sheesh. So McCall was right there at the unreal. And then you had Stroud at 10 and Stetson at 10. Mac Jones the year for that, 11-2. Jalen Hurts the year before that, 11-3. That was actually over Burrow even. Burrow was 10-8 that year. Year before that, Kyler Murray, 11-6. Year before that, Baker Mayfield, 11-5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last 7 years, he would be leading the country in yards per attempt. Now, what's the other thing that most of those guys, or some of those guys that I just named have in common, are a Heisman. So it's again, just it's objective. And the only thing that sucks is that people are going to say, oh, well, yeah, he's faced the toughest schedule, but he lost, 3 of the 4 top 10 road games or whatever. True. But again, and nobody's going to do this. Nobody's going to engage with this, but he didn't lose it. He played well. He's the only reason why you had a chance in all those games. An incredibly awful, putrid, stank-ass defense lost you those games. And I hope that people can use or at least engage with that sort of nuance. The other thing I hope is that he whoops A&M's ass this weekend. The only bummer is that it's going to be at 11 a.m. when the game is going on. So you're going to have to be relying on highlights and whatnot to kind of carry the day for him, because you're just not going to put up a big number rating-wise. But today we celebrate and we give thanks, because these stats are the dumbest I've ever seen in my entire life, and they are worth celebrating and giving thanks to. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.